2 of my Living with Intention workshop. So, in the first one, we talked about looking back and moving forward. So if you haven't done part 1 of this video series, I recommend you go back, just pause this, go find the other video and watch that one first, because we're going to be building on what we did in that one. So we have our looking back and moving forward worksheet. And then part 2 we're moving into, there are 2 different parts we'll be doing, and you can do these in either order. I'm showing you the order that I do them in, but it doesn't really matter if you do one before the other. For some people it makes sense to do it in the opposite fashion, so feel free to find whatever works for you. So part 1 of the second part of our workshop is something I've been doing for, I think it's 7 years now. It's called One Word of the Year. There's a lot of information on the internet about it, so I'll make sure to go ahead and post a couple links in case you want to read more and you haven't heard of it before. But the idea behind it is that you set a one-word intention for your year that kind of encompasses all of your goals and things that you want to work on, and gives you like a single thing to focus on instead of focusing on hundreds of little teeny tiny things. Everything will kind of tie back into that word. So how I usually go about this is usually after Thanksgiving. I just pick a page in my planner, I title it One Word for the upcoming year, and anytime a word pops into my head, I just go ahead and I write it down. I don't think about it. Anything that pops into my head where I think, oh, that's a good word, I will go ahead and write it down. Now, I'll also tell you that if you go out on Pinterest and you search for one word of the year, you will find lots of lists. So if you're sitting here and you can't think of a word, use Pinterest, use the internet. Go ahead and go out there. You don't get extra bonus points because you came up with a word all by yourself. So go ahead and look at those lists. Write down any word that just kind of catches your attention. So this was the list that came out of my planner. Now, what I do is each time I look at the list, I'll have 1 or 2 words that kind of jump out at me. And what I do is I just put these little check marks by it. So as I'm going through, one time I looked at the list, this word stuck out to me. The next time, maybe it was this word. So I just start putting little tick marks next to it. Then I can keep track of which words are really starting to resonate with me. Another thing I like to do is actually go and look up the definition for the words, because sometimes we think we know what a word means, but when you read the actual definition, you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I meant. So I like to go ahead and look up the definitions, go ahead and write those out, because that sometimes helps me too. Another thing to do is if you have a word, go look up synonyms for that word, because maybe stretch wasn't the exact word I needed, but I could find other words that maybe led me in the right direction. And then sometimes when I look at the list, there are words that I feel like, that's not it. So I will go ahead and mark through those, just so that I don't have to focus on them if I don't want to. So go ahead and start this list, and this list doesn't have to be done on January 1st. You don't have to have a word. There's no magic date. Go ahead. If it takes you until June, that's fine. Just keep working through it. Find your word. And all I can say is I think you'll know when you found the word, because it will stick with you. So that is the first step, or it could be the second step, depending on which order you want to do them in. Okay, so our second area to work on after we work on our one word is to sit down and think about those areas we want to focus on. So if we go back to our little worksheet from the beginning, from video 1, we had this section that had areas we want to focus on for next year. So let's go ahead and we'll take another sheet of paper and divide that up. It can have as many areas as you want. I've gone ahead and listed out some of the ones that I usually have on most of my goal planning. But these can be whatever yours are. So you can go ahead and write them in. 4 is a good number, 6 is a good number. Anything more than that, you're going to start having a lot of goals and a lot of things to kind of keep track of. So some of them might combine. So just think about it and spend a little extra time deciding your areas to focus on. Once you have this sheet with your areas, this is another brainstorming. So again, if you need to break it out so that each one of these areas has its own page, that's fine. I just want you to write down anything you would like to accomplish in these areas over the next year or so. So again, don't edit yourself, don't overthink what you're writing down, just write down everything that comes to your mind. You may want to keep this with you if you carry a planner or if you have a bullet journal. Just dedicate a couple pages to it and keep it with you, because I find a lot of times if I'm sitting waiting for something, that something will pop into my head, and I would much rather keep it all in one place than have it in multiple different places. So spend your time on this, and once we have these areas that we want to focus on and some of our goals that are inside of those, we can go on to our next step, which is our vision board. So that will be in video 3. So I'll see you then. Word of the year. I have gone ahead and decided that my word for this upcoming year is going to be reach. But remember, it's not important that you have your word all done. And then we had our areas to focus on, and I've gone ahead and started capturing some of the ideas I had for goals. And this is going to help us build our vision board, which is what this whole step is about. So for a vision board, again, it's one of those things that's been around for many years. If you go on the internet, you can search for it and see examples of other people's vision boards. But basically, a vision board is where you take your goals and you give them some sort of visual reference. And I've been doing vision boards for, I think, 5 years now. And I typically keep mine in a place that I see it every single day. And I have really found that at the end of the year, I'm usually pretty surprised to go back and look at those boards and see how many things I have accomplished. I don't know if I would have done the same thing if I didn't have a vision board, but I do know that since I've been doing vision boarding, I have been much more successful in accomplishing the things that I wanted to do. So in order to take your goals and make them visual, obviously we need some pictures. I find the easiest place for me to gather and keep things is on Pinterest. So I am actually going to try to switch over to my laptop right now so that you can see the Pinterest board that I've built for my vision boards. So let's see if the artsy girl can figure this out. You would think I could. It only requires 1 or 2 buttons. There. So hopefully you are seeing my Pinterest vision board right now. So this is one of those things that I tend to work on all year because I personally love quotes. So a lot of the times as I'm scrolling through Pinterest, because I've liked so many quotes, things show up in my feed in Pinterest. And if they resonate with me, I go ahead and I just drop them onto my vision board. I typically don't update my vision board during the year, but you always could. But I like to gather things because next year, or now, this year, as I'm looking through things, I can go ahead and see what really resonates with me and what doesn't. And so you'll see I keep quotes, I keep pictures of things that may stand for a vacation or a specific place that I want us to go as a family. I'm really big into decluttering and organizing, so you'll see lots of pictures of organized and color-coded closets. That is always an aspiration of mine. I always have some creative goals about things that I want to work on during the year. This upcoming year I do want to work on some figurative work. So you'll see some sketches of figurative work that are on here. And I always have a lot of house plans, projects that I want to complete. So, and this past year we added a camper to our family. So you'll see a lot of camper renovation pictures because those will be going on my vision board. Just so you know, last year my vision board had a camper on it, and now we have one. So, see, it works. So, and like I warned you, there's lots of quotes. Lots and lots of quotes. I won't put every single one of these quotes on my vision board, but I do like to have them, and sometimes what I do is I'll still print them out, and then I put them in my planner during the week. So, it's another way that those things can stay in front of me. But so everything that's in here is not just from this year. I tend to keep pictures and quotes that I may have used in past years, because one thing to remember is your goals don't always have a December 31st deadline. There's lots of big goals that may take us 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So it's okay if they stay on your vision board. I've already looked at my vision board from this year and decided that several of the things that are on there are going to stay. So I'll probably just be pulling those pictures off and putting them on my new vision board. But so you can see I collect all kinds of things. Again, I don't use them all. It just kind of depends on what I'm deciding to focus on. But this way I have a lot to pick from, and I don't have to go gather everything at one time. So for vision boards, I'll drop in a few pictures so that you can see what I'm talking about. And then you'll be able to see some of the other vision boards. I'll give a few links to some of the other vision boards that I found on Pinterest that may be interesting to you, so you can look at those. And let's go ahead and get working on our goals, get our vision boards up. Make sure you put it in a spot that you can see all the time. Don't hide it in a closet, please. I have mine actually on the side of my refrigerator in the kitchen, so I do see it every day, but I have friends who keep it on the inside of their medicine cabinet door, maybe in their closet, just someplace that you go every day. So don't put it in your laundry room. Put it someplace every day that you can look at and you can really pay attention to what you're working on. I find that if you just keep things in front of you, that's the best way to keep moving forward towards your goals, because we do tend to forget and we get overwhelmed by other things that are going on, and our priorities sometimes get pushed to the side, and we have to be reminded. So let's go ahead and get working on our vision boards, and we're going to have a great 2020.